Pope Francis made some big announcements recently. He came out in favor of civil unions. Now, I know how civil unions are viewed in the US. I'm personally in favor of gay marriage, period. LGBT people should be treated as equals. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. The Pope didn't endorse gay marriage, and I'm not happy about that. But think about it from the Pope's perspective. By endorsing civil unions, he broke a long tradition by other popes and Catholic leaders. Lots of pissed off people. What he did in his sphere is incredibly progressive. Not in my sphere. I want him to go further, but this is a step in the right direction. Now we need a few more like that. So good for the Pope. I'm glad he's starting to move over on the issue. And who knows, maybe the next Pope will be even better. Although there's always a strong possibility he'll be worse. A lot worse. Trump's been saying for years that he was confirmed as Presbyterian when he was younger, which I find to be very interesting. Presbyterians are like Catholic light. They have a lot of similar rituals, but they're still technically Protestants. Presbyterians are actually from a fairly extreme sect of Christianity, or it can be extreme, though Trump doesn't really strike me as an extreme Christian. I get the impression he thinks it's nothing more than a scam, but it's a scam he needs to play into to get votes, just like every other Republican leader in the US. There are lots of similarities between Catholics and Presbyterians. They both do infant baptisms, and then when you turn 12 or 13, they do confirmation, which solidifies your position within the church for the rest of your life. But apparently, despite his confirmation in the Presbyterian church, he's come out as being non-denominational. That's not necessarily a good thing or a bad thing for Trump. But as I said, I'm viewing this from the perspective that Trump is just in it for the votes and doesn't care one way or another. Viewing it from that angle, it seems to me like his plan is to identify more with the evangelical voting bloc. Evangelicals are generally considered to be non-denominational, though they're typically from a Pentecostal branch of Christianity. Televangelists buy into certain doctrines which aren't really held by any other denominations, like the doctrines found in the last chapter of the book of Mark. The last few verses are known forgeries, but extreme Pentecostals follow them anyways. Mark 16 verses 17 to 18 say, quote, "These signs will accompany those who believe. In my name they will drive out demons, they will speak in new tongues, they will pick up snakes with their hands, and they will drink deadly poison. It will not hurt them at all. They will place their hands on sick people and they will get well." End quote. Again, these verses are known forgeries, but they're the defining verses that differentiate extreme Pentecostals and televangelists from every other denomination. Faith healing, snake handling, and speaking in tongues. So this move by Trump is a pretty clear signal to me that he's trying to appeal more to the evangelical voting bloc, as if he didn't already have their full support. The Prime Minister of Australia is miffed. He's reportedly getting ready to slap sanctions on a few organizations, including but not limited to the one and only Jehovah's Witnesses. I'm sure we can all guess why. If you're unaware, a while back, the Australian Royal Commission investigated Jehovah's Witnesses over claims of child mistreatment cases, also known as CSA. They called the governing body in to testify in everything. And guess what? The governing body members lied. I mean, it might not come as a surprise to most people here, but it honestly came as a surprise to me. I know the governing body of Jehovah's Witnesses twists the truth all the time. They parrot things from their perspective and it's warped to shit. But outright lie? Usually they find ways around outright lying. But that's the fascinating thing about this situation. The governing body member knowingly lied under oath after swearing to tell the whole truth on the New World Translation of the Bible. How do they justify that? Their theocratic warfare doctrine. Anything is justified if it's in service to the organization. Lying, cheating, manipulating is acceptable in Jehovah's eyes if you're doing it to protect him. Or more specifically, if you're doing it to protect the organization. Australian leadership isn't too happy with him after that little debacle, so the Prime Minister, Scott Morrison, is preparing to sanction the organization. So what's that mean exactly? Well, first of all, it means Morrison is standing in solidarity with survivors of the Watchtower Society. It also means they're pushing through what they call a national redress plan, where survivors will be awarded payments for the experiences they were put through thanks to the Watchtower Society. The national redress plan has received almost 8,300 applications. Of those, 4,670 decisions have been made, including 3,826 payments, and the average payment was around $82,000. So this is good news. The plan was slowed thanks to the pandemic, but it is moving forward. So hopefully my fellow ex-Jehovah's Witnesses will see some justice. James Randi, a name not all of you might know, but he's been very important to the skeptic movement for decades. He influenced me when I was younger. When I was still trying to find my way in life, after leaving my old cult, I stumbled upon his videos. He's helped countless people find skepticism. And finally, on October 20th, 2020, at the age of 92, he died. Rest in peace, James Randi. His contributions to atheists and skeptics cannot be overestimated. He made an appearance on a show about 12 years ago, and he had this to say.
People don't pay attention to this because they don't really want to know. They like the fantasy. They like the comfort. They don't want to know the truth. The truth to them is ugly. You're going to die. Someday you're going to die. That is a fact. And it's time that our species grew up, matured to the point where they could look ahead and say, yes, I'm going to die, but I want to do the best I can while I am still alive. That's my attitude. At 83, ladies and gentlemen, I have some years ahead of me. I will work up until the minute that I close my eyes for the last time, and when I do that, I will be smiling.
I couldn't have said it better myself. He was smiling to the bitter end because he knew what he was doing was making the world a better place. So thank you, James Randi. We're going to take a closer look at his accomplishments on the podcast in his honor. Republican Congressman Clay Higgins said this on Twitter the other day, quote, "My wife has a gift of premonition," end quote. I'm sorry, what? Your wife has a gift of premonition? Why don't I ever hear this crazy shit from Democrat congressmen? If you have any examples of it, please feel free to send them to me on Twitter. One line in, and we've already entered Crazy Town. Let's continue. Quote, "My wife has a gift of premonition. Last night she dreamed the federal squads were in our home seizing guns, knives, unauthorized foods, and stored water. They said we'd been reported. Becca awoke crying. 'What happened to our freedom?' she asked. 'What indeed?' End quote. Where the holy fuck do I even start with this? That'll never happen. First, it's not illegal to store food and water. Second, it's not illegal to have guns. It'll never be. Not in the U.S. The Second Amendment to the Constitution guarantees that. At absolute best, the federal government would institute a buyback program, like Australia did years ago, where you can bring your stuff to the government and they'll pay you for it. They will never raid people's homes just for having stuff like that, unless it's something that civilians absolutely should not have, like a tank or something. Honestly, I don't know why I'm taking this guy seriously when he literally tweeted, "My wife has a gift of premonition." Oh, I remember why. Because he's a leader in our government. Right. Unfortunately, we have to take him seriously, whether we like it or not. Anyways, that's all I've got for you. If you like what I do and you want to see me continue to do it, you can support me in a few ways. First, there's Patreon. That's probably the best way. But if you want to get something back for your support, you can check me out on Teespring, or you can check me out on Etsy. I have a store where I sell all kinds of interesting stuff. Mostly it's 3D printed game stands. But I also sell these 2020 dumpster fire candle holders, or just regular dumpster fire candle holders. And I sell these signs. If you want to keep Jehovah's Witnesses or Mormons from knocking on your door, put these out front. Jehovah's Witnesses aren't afraid of anything, except apostates. And you don't have to be an ex-Jehovah's Witness to be an apostate. The term applies to anybody critical of the religion. So if you want to keep them away, then consider getting one of these signs. All links can be found in the description and the pinned comment. Okay, thanks for watching, guys.